Hello everyone. This video is part of a series where we are developing a microservices-based social media application with the main goal of learning the microservices pattern. We're also interested in the main challenges of microservices, as well as some best practices and some solutions. So here is a brief overview of our current tasks and our near future, or our plan for the near future, right? Of course, this is not everything. There is much more yet to come. But this is just a rough overview of what's going to happen next. Here is a more detailed overview. If you want to pause the video and have a look at it by yourself, feel free to do so. And of course, there is more coming up later on. We're also using a Jira board to track the progress of our tasks. So you may see me coming here to the Jira board whenever we need to do some planning. So in the previous video, we have added a couple of missing tests to the signup.test.ts file. And we are now able to test that the mock send signup verification email is being called once when we execute a post request to the signup route. So the goal for this video is to adjust a little bit of configuration and to actually add a production environment where we can send emails using a real SMTP server. Right? So the only thing that is going to change in our application is that instead of using this .env.dev file, I will use the .env.production file. And this .env.production file contains my credentials. I'm not going to open it, but you need to also choose whatever provider you want to work with. Of course, if you want to set up a production environment or a production setup where you will be able to send emails to external users, right? So currently we are using only the NodeMailer app. So with a local server, we are able to send emails locally, but we are never able to send emails to actual addresses, or we are not able to make the emails reach the addresses if they are outside of our machine, right? So the first thing I need to do here, or the first thing I want to do, is I want to go back to my package.json file, and there is one command that I want to change. So I want to get rid of this no daemon, and that's just because I want to make things a little bit more consistent between commands, and I want to use I want to use ts node dev, like so. So I think that ts node dev is not listed in my package.json file. No, it's not. It's installed because I was trying a few things here, but it's not listed. So in order to make sure that this is correctly listed, let me install and save dev ts node dev. Will take a couple of seconds. Probably for me it will be faster because it's already cached in my machine, but everything should work correctly. Exactly. Now I'm able to use ts node dev, and I can also add a command, or I can also add a start command, which is going to be our production command, ts node source/index.ts. So let's have a look. I think everything is installed. I don't know why they are asking me here. I'll just close this. So now we are also able to start a ts node server by running the start command. So normally the start command is taken to be the production command, right? Or the build command is taken to be the production build command. And you normally, or at least I like to follow this convention to put a colon and then the dev indicator whenever we have a dev command. So now if I run npm run start dev, this should run with ts node dev, and you should be able to see here listening on port 3000. If I come back to my NodeMailer, then I believe that with the server running, I can send a request from Postman. So let's see here in the body, I'll just send to my own email, right? So this is the email you can reach out to me. If I click here on sending some request, then I will get back the information. I'll have no errors on my server, and if I look in Node Mailer in the emails, then I have my first email, right? So the issue is that if I now say, okay, I don't want the dev environment anymore, I want the production environment. So that would be the npm start, right? So if I want the production environment, just give it a couple of seconds, it's still starting up. And then I come here to Postman and I click on send again, then I'm able to create because I stop and restart. So the in-memory Mongo server goes away, but I'm still getting the emails in my private local host. And that's definitely wrong, right? This is not what we want. So what we want to do is we want to differentiate at start time. So in index.ts file, we want to differentiate when we are in development and when we are in production. And how do we do that? Well, we normally do that via the process.env.nodeenv variable. So let me just console.log this variable here, right? So process.env.nodeenv, so just copy and paste. And if I save this, the TS node, so the TS node doesn't watch for changes. So I need to stop the server and run it again, right? The TS node dev watches for changes, but the TS node command does not. So we need to wait until it starts again, and then it console, so it logs the undefined. And you may be wondering, okay, wait, but I want to be in production. And TS node is telling you, okay, then just tell me you want to be in production, because I don't know you want to be in production, right? I mean, the idea is that this environment variable nodeenv is supposed to be defined in your environment. So if you are on the cloud, you would add this to the environment secrets, or not secrets, but just the environment variable. But we are not doing this anywhere in our application here. So before we can actually access this value, we need to initialize it. And we normally initialize this together with the command. So for Mac and for Linux, I believe that it is enough to do like so. Nodeenv equals production, and then followed by a white space and the command that we want to run. So now if I save this, I stop the server and I run it again. I don't know why I stop it more than once, but just force of habit. And then this should print production. Exactly, so now it's printing production, right? So for Mac and for Linux, I believe it's enough to do it like so, but for Windows, I think you need to use something like set nodeenv equals production and no white space between the n and the first end, because if you add a white space here, this is going to be included, so this is going to be part of the value, so it will be production with a white space, right? So just without the white space, I think, I don't remember because it's been a while since I did that on a Windows. So if I save this, I will leave this as the version for my machine. I stop the command, and now I'm able to initialize this parsed nodeenv. So now the parsed nodeenv is going to take the nodeenv value, and if the nodeenv is undefined, then it will default back to development. So after the initialization, let's console.log this variable. Now I will start my server again. Give it a couple of seconds as always, and it prints production as expected, right? So no changes in behavior. Now if I run the start dev command, it should print development because the nodeenv environment variable is not defined. Exactly, so now we print development, right? So now we are able to differentiate between production and development. So in my .env.config object here, I will say if parsed nodeenv is equal to development, then give me the .env.dev. And if you are on Windows and you don't want to worry too much about the white spaces, you can just do a trim, right? Parse node env.trim, so to make sure that we have only the letters, right? So that's a possibility. So if the parse node env is equal to development, then give me .env.f or .dev, otherwise give me .env.production, right? So now it will restart the server because I'm running the TS node dev here. And if I come back to Postman and I send again the email, oops, so it's still restarting, or maybe it already restarted. I think we should see a message. Well, let me stop and let's start it again. I'm always a little bit confused with this. No harm in stopping and starting it again. There it is. I come back to Postman and I send my message, and I should still be able to see the message. So that's the third email that enters here, right? So actually the first one, because ordered in terms of date. So now if I start my production environment or my production server, then I should still be able to send emails, but I will not see them here, right? And this is just because I'm not using the local server. I'm using the information, I'm using the SMTP host and port from the remote server, from the provider, right? And here, just want to make a brief comment. You can choose whatever provider you want. It can be SendGrid, it can be MailJet, it can be MailChimp, it can be Gmail. As long as you can set up these variables here, you can use it with NodeMailer. It may be the case that NodeMailer is not compatible with all the SMTP servers out there, but I think that the specification of an SMTP server is quite straightforward or quite standardized in a way that NodeMailer should be able to handle most of the remote APIs, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, if I come here into the NodeMailer email API, I'm sending the email with a specific shape, right? If the SMTP server expects a different shape, then there may be errors here. So it depends on what you choose. The one I'm using here is MailJet, but that's just a matter of personal preference. I just like the fact that they have a slightly higher free quota or free tier, and that's why I'm using them here. That's the only reason. No additional other preference or no other specific a reason behind. You can choose whatever you want as long as you can set it up correctly. And it may be the case again that if you are not able to make it work with this shape here, you may have to set up the API by yourself. But because there is a big variety of SMTP server providers out there, I don't think it makes sense for me to try with most of them, right? Because then that would be just spending too much time here. In any case, let's go back to our index.ts because now we are running in .env.production. So let's go back to Postman and let's try to send this email. Okay, so I got the response. I got no error here. But if I come back to NodeMailer, as you can see, there is no new email. So what happens here is that the email was actually sent to my actual email address, right? I can already see it here in my email, but you have to trust me because I'm not going to open my inbox in the video. But in any case, this is working as expected also when we use a remote.env or a remote SMTP server. The last change I want to make here, I will stop the production environment and I will run the test environment. So not the test, but development environment. And the last change I want to make is within this NodeMailer email API. So if I come back to the NodeMailer app, as you can see, I get a from no reply at unsocial.app. That's fine, right? It's not a problem, but it can be slightly improved because I can say, or I can give a nicely formatted name by just saying unsocial app, and then between this less than and greater than signs, I can simply indicate the email address. And this is going to allow me to send an email with this from field slightly better formatted. So let's try to send it here. I don't know if the server is on already. No, it's not on. So let's go back. Oops, yeah, as expected, because the thing is still restarting. I don't know why it's taking so long to restart. Maybe I should go back to NodeJS. But now I'm listening then on port 3000, and if I come back to Postman and I send an email here and I come to NodeMailer, then as you can see, the unsocial app is much nicer, much more nicely formatted. And if I view the source, then it's exactly as we provided, right? Okay, so I'm actually wondering why the TS node dev is not correctly restarting. I will go back here to NodeJS. I just wanted to be consistent. Apparently it's not possible, or it's not that straightforward to be consistent. So I will just save this, and now let's see if I start with the run dev and I change something around. Hopefully this restarts the server. I'll just add a new line here. I save, says restarting or restarting due to changes, and then starting TS node, and then I'm listening on port 3000, right? So NodeJS is actually running the TS node command behind the scenes, and because it's running the TS command behind the scenes but it's watching for the files here, then it's able to restart the server. Not because the TS node is watching, but because NodeJS itself is watching. So let's leave it back to the original configuration. I will remove these two packages here that we have added, or maybe the TS node dev at least. I don't know why it also added the TS just, but let's leave it like so. This was already here, so it just added the comma. Yeah, exactly. So now I think we are able to continue, or at least to finish up our video. So we have a production configuration, and this is going to be quite useful for us whenever we want to run or deploy this service, the authentication service, on the cloud, right? So not so many changes for this video, but a lot of discussions. If you are interested in getting a notification about the next videos, because I'm posting videos quite often and I try to be quite consistent here so that we can make good progress, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and every time I upload a new video you will get a small notification. So thank you for your time, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.